After signing Orlando Robinson and Jamal Cain to two-way deals, we only have one two-way contract left. With training camp around the corner, we've signed four guys to Exhibit 10 contracts. We'll go over all four of them and what they could bring to the team. This is the Orlando Magic Nation, your source for all things Orlando Magic on YouTube. For Magic fans, by a Magic fan. I'm Edwin Valentine, and I want to thank you very much for clicking on this video and spending a little bit of time talking Magic with me. You got to do the normal YouTube things, hit that like, share the video, drop a comment below, and if you're so inclined, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any content that I'm going to produce this upcoming season. Now, to kind of set the scene on what an Exhibit 10 contract is, an Exhibit 10 contract is a 1 year non guaranteed contract that ultimately is able to get you a chance to get on the roster through training camp. So these guys will be with us through training camp and through the preseason, unless they're waived any earlier than that. And if they are to be waived, because we only need one of them left, like I said. So there's only one two-way spot left. And with four of them, obviously that's going to leave just one out of four of them to get that roster spot. So the other three, when they're waived, if they sign with the Osceola Magic, then they'll be eligible for a bonus, but they have to stay with the team for 60 days. So that's what an Exhibit 10 is. It's a non-guaranteed contract that if you're waived, you sign with the affiliate team for that team, and then after 60 days, you get a signing bonus. So this is kind of a two-way thing ultimately. It's for the NBA team because we still have the two-way roster spot open, but it also is to fill our G League team with high quality kind of fringe NBA players that are really going to help us in our G League team for them to succeed because the Magic does care about that as well. So that's something that we do. So that's something to think about here, that if they're waived, there's no financial implications to the team. We just need one of them to claim that last two-way roster spot. So we're going to look at a little bit of each of their games and see what we need. So this is mostly an insurance policy. As we've seen with the other two-way deals, we have Jamal Cain, who he's more of a defender, cutter, guy who attacks the rim. And we also have Orlando Robinson. He adds depth in the center and power forward position. He's a stretch five, let's say. He has a pretty good stroke. So now that third spot, we just have to decide if we're going to want some more help on the bigs or we're going to need more help with the backcourt. So that's basically what we're going to do. But if one of these guys ball out during the training camp or during the preseason, then they might just nab that spot. The reason that even though this is basically the last roster spot for the team is that it's important is because the Magic are going into the season with only 14 players instead of the 15 player max. So we are going to need three good two-way players so that if we need them to be active due to injuries, as we saw last year, we had a lot of injuries, knock on wood, that doesn't happen again this upcoming season. But if it were to happen for a little bit, it's a long season. We really need those guys to be able to contribute. So Orlando Robinson is likely going to be the one that would get the most time of the three because unfortunately we've had so many injuries over the course of their careers to our big men. Last year was pretty healthy, to be fair to them, but you never know. And Jamal Cain will be the one that will be able to help with some of the wings. So that's going to be his role if we start getting thin on wings. So this last roster spot, it's going to be just to add extra insurance. So if you're an Osceola Magic fan, Colin Castleton is somebody that you would know. He played for the Osceola Magic last season. He's played sparingly again over the course of his career. In 42 games, he's averaged 4 points, 3 rebounds, and an assist per game with zero point 0.2 steals, zero point 0.2 blocks. So coming out of college, the idea for him was he was going to be much more of a big man who would block shots and play more defense. And that seems to be what his role was going to be in the NBA, and so far it just hasn't panned out that way. As you see by the numbers, he hasn't really blossomed as much as people would have liked after 3 seasons in the NBA. In the G League, however, because again, these guys, if they're waived, they'll be able to sign with the affiliate. So if he signs with the Osceola Magic. In 19 games total in the G League last year, he averaged 18 points, 11 rebounds if you round up, and 3 assists with about 2 stocks per game, 1.1 steals and 1.2 blocks per game. From looking at his scoring, most of his shots were 2-point shots. As we said, he shoots about 12% from 3-point range. So we have video of one of the makes from last year, but he's not going to be one to really stretch the floor like Orlando does. So if he is to be the person that gets that last roster spot, it's really going to be theoretically for the defensive purposes. But I don't see him being the one that we choose. But again, maybe he's developed over the course of the summer and he's been able to excel, and now he's got a 3-point shot, kind of like Goga. And then if we look at some of the other stats for him, more specifically is the usage. He's a 21% usage rate. And if you look at his offensive rebounding percentage, because that's one of the big 4 factors that I talk about when I go through player profiles. If you haven't checked out any of those, I've done 5 or 6 of them, and the rest are going to be coming in the next week or so before we get to the start of the season. But if you look at his offensive and defensive rebounding percentage, 48% offensive rebound is not bad. 25% defensive rebound is not really the greatest. Assist percent, 18%. Turnovers, 20. So he's offensively challenged, which in the past wouldn't be that big of a hindrance for the Magic, unfortunately, because we've always been in the bottom 10 in offense, but now we're going to need offense from everybody. So right now, if you look at Colin's numbers, they're not necessarily the greatest, but maybe again he's developed in this past summer. So now, if we look at his film, a lot of it's going to be in the paint with one little jump shots here. He's able to post up. He does a pretty good job of posting up, but it's a lot of, you can see a lot of offensive rebounds. So he does a good job on the offensive boards. So he would be definitely a guy that's not going to be out on the perimeter. He's going to be out there fighting to get the offensive rebounds and scoring in the paint, which was a strength of the Magic's teams last year, partially because we really couldn't shoot that well, obviously. But as you see, he's always around the basket. He's not the quickest to feet, which is, I think, is why his block and steals numbers aren't that great in the NBA. But in the G League, if we were to have him down there, I think, as you saw, 18 points, 10 rebounds, averaging a double double is definitely going to be something that we would covet on the G League team. But what I do like is that little push shot he has. That's something that I was talking about in Goga's player profile that I was hoping for Goga. And then Goga went out and started shooting threes. So he doesn't really need that little push shot, which I think he still would need that push shot just when he's in up close. Just that little push shot in the mid range instead of having to shoot a mid range jumper. So yeah, here's the 1-3. Yeah. Where here's his offensive rebounding. Looking at his rebounding, he's okay in getting the tough rebounds. He's tall. He's not the fastest jumper or the quickest jumper or the highest jumper either, but he's a good body. He's able to compete, which is really, again, a lot of the times that's all that matters. It's someone that's going to compete for baskets and those rebounds and getting into the trenches and getting that ball is something that is very important. So Colin does that as good as well as he can possibly do, and we will see what happens in training camp for Colin. The next person we're going to focus on is Reece Beekman. He played with Brooklyn last year. He's a point guard, shoots with his right hand, 6'1", so he's a little bit shorter of a point guard and 190 pounds. In his NBA career, he's played 36 games, averaged about 3 points, about a rebound, and 2 assists per game, and 1 stock. So you see he has zero point 0.9 steals per game. So he's active. He's one of those little guys that are good at picking the ball and reading where the ball is going to be going as a point guard. They're able to kind of know what the play is asking for, and he's able to jump into those passing lanes. Now, in the G League last year, he played 5 games. He scored 15 points, 4 rebounds, and 7 assists per game with 2 steals and a block. So even at 6'1", he still has the get ups to be able to block shots, which is always very impressive, especially if you're going to be a smaller guard. You have to have the vertical jump as much as possible. That or the wingspan, right? Those are the things that you really can mitigate if you're going to be shorter stature to have long arms. Like Jace. Jace has pretty long arms, so his wingspan is much more than the 6'1", the height that he is. So this would be another small point guard. This one would be also likely Jace isn't going to have that much playing time, so Reece would be even further down in the depth chart, but if we wanted to go that way, that wouldn't be the worst. And if we're looking at the scoring splits, 58% of his shots are from 2 point range, 41% from 3 point range. If we look, his usage is about 17%. His assist percentage is 35%. Turnover ratio at 10%. So 3 to 1 is not bad there. So if you look at the counting stats, 6.6 assists and zero point 0.8 turnovers per game. So he's a floor general, which is very good. That's something that if we were to have Jalen and Tyus and Jace for some reason, all of them being injured, of course, we're going to have other guys that can handle the ball. AB would be able to handle the ball. Tristan, Franz, Paulo, Desmond. We have many ball handlers, so that's not going to be the thing. So this is why I don't know if he's going to end up being the choice, just because he's so much smaller. And looking at his numbers, they would go perfectly for our G League team. But again, he might pop in the preseason, and we never know what's going to happen. So to look at his film, again, a lot of his shots are in the flow of the offense, and a lot of it is in close range. He's not really like he can shoot, so that's something that if you look at his field goal percentage, he can shoot. But a lot of it is driving to the basket, even at his height. So I think that's going to be a little bit of what Jace is going to bring. So he would be a bit duplicative, I think, of what Jace is, and Jace is a better shooter. So that would be why, of course, Jace would get the nod over Reece, but never hurts to have insurance, I guess. And we see he's able to still finish over big men, even with his size. It's pretty quick, turns the corner. He doesn't shoot as well as would be expected of somebody who's so short, just because that's going to be if you have an elite shot, that's going to be your way in, obviously, in the NBA, especially if you're going to be a shorter guy. But it's not bad, his jumper, especially as you see a lot of these games, of course, are blowouts, but he's still able to get his points. That's why it kind of feels like people aren't trying to close out on him. And again, if he were to play for the Magic, when it came time for the Magic to play him, it would be blowout games. Likely, we're going to have a lot of blowouts this season if all goes as planned. So he wouldn't necessarily need to be playing in the first quarter or the second quarter or even the third quarter. So he should be able to just continue to pat the stats and help our points per game if we're in blowouts here. But as we see, he's able to still distribute. This is one that the guy was in the corner there and made a nice back cut, and he saw him there. So he's not a bad passer either, and in small pockets, he's able to hit the roll guy in the cutter very often. Sprays it out to the corner. It's he would be definitely a person that if he were to be the one that would be signed, wouldn't to the two-way deal, wouldn't be a bad thing. Here's his defense. Like I mentioned, he reads the passing lanes pretty well. And he also has very quick hands. So he's able to snatch the ball away from some of the bigger guys here. Shangun, he's able to pick that one off. And even on the roll there, he reads it and comes off the backside and is able to tap it. So Reece, I think if you look at his numbers and his measurables, I think would be the thing that would hold him back from making the roster, especially since we are a team that, generally speaking, has very tall guys. We're actually getting a bit more shorter this year with Jace and Tyus coming in, but we don't want to get too short I don't know if Reece will end up getting that spot, but at worst, he'd definitely be someone that could really help out with our G League team. The next one is Justin Minaya. He's a small forward, shoots with his left hand, 6'5", 210 pounds. He's played his whole career so far with Portland, and he's played in 57 games. As you see, he only averages about 10 minutes per game, and last year was even fewer. He's averaged about 2 points, 1 rebound, and 1 assist per game. And if you round up, about a stock per game. So very low usage. He hasn't been around very much, so much so that there's not even a lot of stats on the G League for him. So so he's just stayed on the active roster. But weirdly, I was able to get a scoring split on there. So I don't really know what's up with their website. But either way, last year they have him down for the Rip City team in 9 games in 35 minutes per game. He shot 56% of his field goals were 2 pointers, 44% from three. He has a pretty good stroke that you'll see in the video upcoming. So a lot of it is it's going to be predicated on what the Magic are looking for. Again, if he's someone that is going to, if we're looking for someone that can play good defense, that's going to be able to keep our height in a good space, that if we lose Franz and Tristan, then we need somebody to slip into that roster spot. So this is why I think that's the one that we're probably the most vulnerable in the small forward position. So I think this is why I'm guessing we're going to go with Justin for that last spot, but we shall see. So here he is in the open court. Last a lot of his points were here are going to be nice driving hoops over bigs. I think the interesting part is that there were so few there were so few highlights that I had to use ones from 2 seasons ago. And in 2 seasons ago, the Blazers were getting blowed out a lot. So he was able to have some good playing time. So he had a different number. So that's how I know. That's a nice up and under over the big. So here's his 3-point shooting. It's a pretty good stroke. He's able to set his feet. It looks like a regular 3-point shot, to be honest, when you look at it, because he's not one to be, it doesn't have a weird hitch in it. It's not, it's fluid. It hits it with a pretty good frequency. So I'm surprised he really hasn't gotten much more of a chance on the Blazers, especially 2 seasons ago when they were not a good team. They weren't great last year, but they definitely came on later on in the season. So I don't really know what the concern was there, but I think looking at him, he would be the one that, spoiler, I haven't gone to the last one as well, but he would be the one that I think I would offer the last two-way spot to, just for the size. I know Jamal is there as well. These are some of his passing. He's obviously a small forward, so he doesn't handle the ball too much. He's able to finish most of the time, but he's able to make the right read and spray the ball out. So he's not one that's gonna fumble the ball constantly throughout the possession and then kind of grenade it to someone else. In the flow of the offense, he's pretty fluid with the ball and able to get it to the right guy. So with the good height, I think he keeps with the Magic's philosophy on defense and size, and he would be an accompaniment to Jamal, because I think Jamal would be the one that again would be in there for the defense. I think he's had more opportunity in the NBA. He has a bit more tenacity on the defensive end, which is definitely in the Orlando Magic's philosophy. The last one is Lester Quinones. So looking at Lester, he's a shooting guard, shoots with his right hand, 6'5", so he's okay size for a shooting guard. In 54 games, he scored about 5 points, 2 rebounds, and an assist, and zero point 0.2 steals 5.1 blocks, so nothing really to write home about. If we look at his 3-point shot, he shoots at 34%, or 35% if you round up. So it really would be between Justin and Lester, in my opinion, for the spot. Lester or Justin, I think, again, are going to be interchangeable. They're about the same height. Now, Lester's the better shooter, so I guess if you're looking at just having someone who will be able to shoot the ball, which is what the should be the Magic's philosophy moving forward, then you choose Leicester. If you're looking just a bit more at someone who's going to be a bit more on the defensive end, which is something that I would suspect you would want from the back end, because they're really just going to be insurance. So if you have a few injuries, we still have enough offense, I think, on the team that you could gloss over someone who doesn't have it offensively. So that would be the difference on who you want to choose, right? So it's either the defense with Justin or Lester for the offense. It really just depends on what you're looking for. And if we look at his stats from the G League in 31 minutes, he scores 21 points per game, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, about 4 turnovers per game, and about 2 stocks per game. So he's one that's definitely is way more active in the G League, and as you saw, he played in 31 games in the G League last year. As he scores, he shoots 55% of his field goal attempts are from 2-point range, 28% usage rate, so he's not too shy. He's going to be able to get the ball in the basket, and he's much more, especially in the G League, he's going to be much more of a scorer. So that's another reason why I think we would keep Lester in the G League and Justin on the main roster, because we want a defensive identity in the back end of the roster, and then Lester will be able to really help the Osceola Magic if he were to sign with them. If we go over to his video, looking at his video, again, pretty good stutter. He played with New Orleans last year, and New Orleans was out of it for much of the season, so he was able to get a pretty good amount of run. Good smooth ball handling there. He's able to come off the dribble, takes on Bobby Portis. So he played more meaningful minutes last year than Justin did. Justin played very sparingly. So it really just depends on what the Magic are looking for the end of their bench. Someone who can score better definitely would be Lester. Lester has a wide range of moves and able to get himself open and able to finish. A lot of cutting, as we see. Even though his 3-point shot isn't bad. Again, 34% is not bad. Here's that one. Nice play where they ran there over a couple screens, able to finish. Again, there's not much defense, let's say, in a lot of these highlights, because a lot of the times they are led in the game in a blowout. So he's kind of just launching against other third stringers. But that's likely what's going to happen when he's with the Magic, right? If all goes well, he wouldn't really be playing against defensive stalwarts. He's able, even at the shooting guard position, he's able to hit the open man. Here's a nice one. This is Jamal. So they played together, Jamal Kane and Lester last year. So he's able as another one. So these guys are able to get the ball to the open guy. So definitely wouldn't be mad if we end up signing Lester to the last 2-way deal, but I'm trying to read the tea leaves on what the Magic normally do. But again, we might be just doing the opposite. It might be opposite day now with the Magic. Is a nice little pass. Whoop. Yeah. So good court awareness. He's one always looking to attack. I suspect the Magic would choose Justin. If it was me, Edwin, the GM, I would have Lester on the team, because Lester is going to be the one that would bring more offense if we were in trouble with some injuries and we needed to continue to sustain that offense, I think we'd always be able to have a defensive philosophy that would be able to cover for him. But those are the four guys that are on Exhibit 10 deals. Only one of them are going to get the last two-way contract so that they would be part of the NBA team as well as the Osceola Magic. Now, the other three, whoever is waived, again, they have the opportunity to sign with the Osceola Magic. And if they do, then they're going to get a signing bonus after 60 days with the team. So that would behoove them to stay with the Osceola Magic since they signed their Exhibit 10 deal with the Magic. So they're going to be with the team all throughout training camp. Training camp is going to start next week. You're going to see their names. You're going to see them playing in some preseason games, likely again to try to assess where they are and assess if they're going to be able to help the team in the long run. So they'll be all the way through the preseason unless the Magic have seen enough and decide for them to waive them prior to the end of the preseason. And then it'll be on them to see if they sign with the Osceola Magic or not. So those are the options. Let's see what the Magic choose. Again, if it was me, Edwin, I would choose Leicester. I think they're going to end up choosing Justin just because he fits more the mold of what the team has had as a philosophy. I believe that Leicester should be what the team is looking for moving forward. Not only offense, but obviously we can have offense only players as long as the rest of the team is defensive minded. So I think that's where that disconnect might be at times, but I hope that that's going to be the case, that we moving forward can throw in an offensive minded only guy once in a while so that we're able to get that scoring average up. So what do you think? Who do you think the Magic should choose for their last two-way contract? Write it down in the comments below. And again, do the normal YouTube things, hit that like, share the video, drop a comment below, and if you're so inclined, hit that subscribe button so you can join the Orlando Magic Nation community. I want to thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope you're having a great day.